We'll see what happens when I put my phone next to the XLRs. Well, it's quiet right now, and it's
don't touch anything.
Yeah, I won't touch. By the way, we are rolling audio.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I started rolling as well.
Okay, we're rolling.
So we're just going to kind of start over and whatever, I guess. Are you with me?
Oh, you talking to me?
Talking to both of you.
Well, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm with you.
For sure.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to my dad's movie podcast. I'm Mick Johnson, Dad.
I'm Tabor Johnson, the son. It's my dad's movie podcast.
Yeah.
He's my dad.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And also tonight we have one of my other sons, Alec Johnson. He's
the good son.
Yeah, he's the good son.
Yeah.
He's calling in via the telephone, and he's down in Provo, Utah at school right now. Say hi,
Yes,
Alec.
sir.
There's no good son. It's all made up.
on the podcast, I'll say you're all my good son, but
yeah,
we're not going to get that in writing anywhere.
No, it's an iron claw situation.
Now everybody knows
rankings can change.
Yeah. Everybody knows Nicholas is my favorite, but
the rankings can change. Man, we should talk about Iron Claw.
That's right. We will.
Let's talk about it tonight.
Did M. Night Shyamalan do the Iron Claw?
That's the biggest twist of all, is that we didn't even know it was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Holy mackerel.
The Iron Claw and Stuart Little. Both of those.
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
okay, Iron Claw's a joke, but Stuart Little was written by M. Night Shyamalan.
It really was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I don't remember so many twists in it.
What?
I don't think I'm surprised that M. Night wrote Stuart Little as much as I am that Hugh Laurie was in an M. Night movie.
Yeah. Right. I love Hugh Laurie. He's great in that. Anyway, we are talking about M. Night Shyamalan tonight.
Yeah.
That's our director for this episode.
So his actual name is Manoj Neliatu Shyamalan. I'm assuming the M comes from the Manoj, and I understand where the Shyamalan comes from. I did read that the middle name he's got here for M. Night actually came up while he was in college. It doesn't say why.
Oh,
it just says that's where
he got it.
He got it from college. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And
maybe people got tired of trying to pronounce his name.
Yeah, it does. It sounds, it rings better.
Yeah.
It sounds like a professional Hollywood director's name. And he went to school in Pennsylvania, didn't he? But that's where he grew up. But I think he went to school there too.
So he earned a degree at New York University.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he grew up in the Pennsylvania area.
Yes. And I think that's where most of his movies are kind of, at.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're telling me he's an NYU film school graduate?
Sucker.
I've got graduated from the New York University Tisch School of the Arts in Manhattan in 1992.
1992.
And that's where his middle name, Knight, was made up.
I know that you were saying that your notes say that he graduated, but the way you said it was, I got graduated.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said, I got graduated from...
No. He graduated.
Yeah. But, So
born, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Mehi, Puducherry, India. But he was actually raised in the suburban Philadelphia, August 6, 1970.
That would make him, how old now? 55?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has not aged at all. He looks really, really good
Well, that's that alien DNA,
from Signs.
right? It doesn't. You don't age when you have alien DNA.
Yeah.
So
Once he comes in contact with the water, I'm sure he'll start to look a little different. But
that's right. You never actually see him drink water.
You think people like walk up to him and like just start swinging at him with bats?
Swing away.
Yes. Everyone's just going to swing away, Meryl.
I don't think those people are actually fans of his movies. I think they're just drunks.
They're just running around down the street with bats.
Why can't they get girlfriends?
So yeah, his father was a doctor, a neurologist, and his mother was also a doctor, an OB-GYN.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. His parents immigrated to the United States when he was 6 years old. My tongue is all swollen up. I think maybe it's this crushed soda.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble talking.
Our dad's dying. Why are you laughing?
They call it the crush swells.
The crush swells.
I got the crush swell.
Got the black lung pop.
There's a warning on the can. Where are we at here?
What's the movie we're talking about tonight?
So tonight we're going to talk about Signs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So originally we were going to talk about two movies, right?
Signs and Trap. Yes.
Did you watch Trap?
I did not watch Trap.
Alec, did you watch Trap?
I did not watch Trap.
I watched Trap.
We can
Good for you.
We can have a one-sided discussion about Trap tonight.
There were signs everywhere. Did you see the signs? I saw the signs. But I did watch Signs also, so that's good. I watched it while I was frying tortillas.
I've seen it probably a dozen times, but I actually sat down and watched it again today.
Yeah, I sat down and like watched it thoroughly. I watched maybe 4 or 5 reaction videos. That's kind of how I watch movies nowadays, is through reaction videos.
Isn't 40-minute YouTube videos with major plot points cut out?
No, it's only major plot points. They get rid of everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then a Middle Eastern gentleman talking about symbolism. And I was like, what symbolism are you talking about, dude? There's nothing here.
Seems pretty literal to me.
Yeah.
There's aliens.
He looks at the camera and goes, symbolism. I'm like, yeah. I like him, though. He's fun. But yeah, that's how I watch movies. Any movie that I've like watched a couple times already and I feel like watching it again, that's how I go through it. So I watched Signs maybe 4 or 5 times through a reaction video, but then I sat down and watched the actual movie all the way through. And I watched it on Amazon. I rented it. And
I own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But I'm awake at like 3:00 in the morning. I'm a night owl now. So I rented it on Amazon for like $2, and the high def, high dynamic range transfer that they did for Amazon is absolutely gorgeous.
Huh.
It looks beautiful. It was a really good transfer. I don't know what it looks like on DVD. I haven't watched it on DVD in a while, but that high def transfer looked incredible. Yeah, really stood out to me this time around.
I exclusively watch things on VHS torrented videos online.
Ripped from VHS, and
Yeah,
does it still have all the coming attractions?
of course.
Nice. So,
So, anyways, back to M. Night. This was kind of cool. Talking about his parents a little bit. His mother encouraged him to follow his passions at an early age. And one of his desires was to be a filmmaker at a very young age. And so he was actually given a Super 8 camera.
that's kind of how Steven Spielberg started, and a couple of these other guys. They start with those Super 8s, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could have dabbled more with Super 8.
So from that, by the time he was 17 years old, he had made 45 home movies.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's putting him out.
Yeah.
I don't think I've made 45 of anything in my life.
45 mistakes, maybe.
Easily.
Well, yeah.
Easily that,
Yeah. But that's about it.
yeah.
First mistake was being born.
Yeah, this is that brother, ladies and gentlemen. He's the one we have to check up on.
Highly medicated. Highly medicated.
All right.
Yeah, let's talk about his directing style.
Okay. So
We added a lot of stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of editing.
A lot of dead space.
So his directing style.
Okay, so I watched the Studio Binder video on him, and I think the Studio Binder format for directors, I think, is awesome. And if I can't find a Studio Binder video on the director that we're talking about, I think I will use that format and kind of piece together some sort of like outline to talk about. So first of all, the article was talking about his characters, and his characters are everyday, normal human beings that are fathers or just everyday Joes that
It's normal people.
Just normal people that are going through normal people things, but in a bigger landscape of a giant, I guess, kind of, I wouldn't say apocalyptic backdrop, but like a more dramatic, extreme backdrop, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So there's lots of people who are single parents who have lost a spouse, like Mel Gibson has. Not Mel Gibson, but Mel Gibson's character, Graham.
Yeah.
Graham Hess
Yep.
is the character's name. So it's about a man who is dealing with the loss of his spouse, but he has to deal with that on top of an alien invasion. And so the Sixth Sense is about a little boy who is being raised by a single mother who doesn't fit in anywhere, which is a normal, everyday thing.
Right.
But with the backdrop of he sees dead people. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to say spoiler alert before you actually.
So, funny thing about the Sixth Sense, Fallon saw it for the first time last year.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so, growing up, she thought the big twist was that the boy saw dead people. So when he says, "I see dead people," she goes, "Yeah, I knew that already." So she keeps watching the movie. She goes, "That wasn't that big of a twist. I don't know why everyone's saying that the twist is that crazy." So she keeps watching the movie, and then she gets to the end where, spoiler alert, Bruce Willis is dead, and it floored her.
Right.
She was like, "What?" she was not expecting that at all.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's, that was a unique way of setting that up in the beginning. I mean, he gets shot right at the beginning of the movie,
yeah.
but we get the impression, and they make it like he survived the bullet, and people do. I mean, people survive all the time getting shot. And so he just survived. So
yeah, he gets shot, and then it does a fade in, and he's sitting there on that park bench, and you're like, "Oh, well, good for him. I'm glad he made it."
Right.
So that's what his characters are, and his story is these normal, everyday people dealing with everyday things,
Right.
With a backdrop of something much larger than them.
Yeah, his films, they focus on the characters and their stories, and a lot of times they're empathetic stories, underdogs, people who've been, knocked down, or they're punished, or something's going on, but they're everyday stories that everybody can kind of relate to.
Mm-hmm. the next thing Studio Binder went on to mention was color. How does the director use color?
Alec, are you still there?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Sometimes color can go unnoticed in a film because sometimes it's used very, very subtly. Every director's using color somehow, but sometimes it's more prevalent with other directors and with heavens. You know what I'm doing there, right?
yeah, of course they do.
Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan is a little less subtle with his color usage, especially in movies like The Sixth Sense, where the red that you're seeing all over the movie is used to like show some form of like haunting, or this is something that you need to pay attention to. This is going to be important. And I saw a little bit of that in Trap, where red was kind of used when the character was feeling trapped. So the screen would turn red and everything would turn red when he was feeling trapped and overwhelmed. And then when the character would figure things out, all the regular color would come back. And it was almost like red was the panic color. And then he would stop seeing red. He would gather himself and go back to, go back to being in control of things.
Yeah, the other two movies that I know that he used color to convey certain things, Sixth Sense, he used color in that one for certain things. And the other one is The Village.
Yeah.
He used color for certain things for that also.
The monsters are wearing red.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes the monster stand out. But for some reason, when I think of The Village, I don't think of the monsters wearing the red. I think of the villagers wearing the yellow.
Yeah.
For some reason, that yellow really stands out in that movie. It's a very, very beautiful yellow.
I think it's also because everything's very brown and green, because a lot of it is just very natural, like
Drab
grass, trees, wood, very, I guess, primitive colors.
And 1700s.
Yellow's not very, except for in like flowers, it's not very prevalent in those kinds of environments.
Everyone in the village is supposed to appear as if they were living in the 1700s, and they had, black, white, and like tan and kind of like milky colors. There really wasn't color anywhere else.
Under directing style, one of his trademarks is using the foreground, the middle ground, and the background to tell multi-layered stories.
Yes, so I noticed that when we were watching Signs as well. That's a very hard thing to do as a director and a cinematographer, is to remember that there are many different dimensional planes that you can use to basically fill your screen. And a shot that I saw from Signs that they were kind of demonstrating that was there's a scene where I think it's right after Graham comes back from Dr. Reddy's house.
Okay.
And Bo and the son's name, what's his name? Kieran Culkin. No, Rory.
So that's Rory
His name's
Culkin.
Morgan.
His name's Morgan, yeah.
Morgan. Bo and Morgan are doing dishes. And they're in the background.
Yeah.
And then in the middle ground, you have Graham, who comes and sits down, doesn't even say anything, just sits down at the table. He's kind of traumatized by what he saw at Dr. Reddy's house. And then you have Meryl sitting in the foreground, just watching.
He's reading an army pamphlet.
Yeah, that's right. And so a lot of times beginning filmmakers will just use one plane. And then when you're like, oh, I'm getting better at this, you'll start using two planes. And then you're like, oh, there's so much more I can do. You can just layer things so many different ways. When I was watching Trap, I was noticing some split diopter shots which I always freaking love. I think those are so freaking cool.
Yeah.
You're familiar with the split diopter, right?
No.
No?
I'm just saying, yeah, but no.
Split diopter is basically like a small lens that goes in front of the camera, and half of the lens is cut off. And so it gives you two planes that can be in focus at the same time. So if you're sitting here and I'm sitting here, if your camera is wide open to let in more light because you're in a dark room, I can't have both things in focus. I can have you in focus,
Right.
or I can have me in focus. And so what most times you would do is you would have the person who's talking be in focus. But then you would do something called a rack focus, where if you're talking, you're focused. And then when I start talking, you rack to me, and now I'm focused.
Right.
So you would go back and forth. You would choose whoever's talking is the one who's in focus. And so that's called a rack focus. But with a split diopter, you put that lens in there, and it adds an artificial focus point so that we can both be in focus at the same time. So I'll have to show you some split diopter shots, because Quentin Tarantino uses them a lot. Who else uses them a lot, Alec?
I know more recently, what's his name?
Spielberg used to use them, but he stopped doing them.
Can't remember. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. Mike Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan, like
He's been using them a lot.
Haunting of Hill House and all of those Netflix shows. He does a lot of split diopter shots.
Nice. Those are good shows.
Yeah.
So the other directing style, I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, when you think about certain directors, you know, if you're talking about, shoot, now I just forgot his name. The Kill Bill.
Quentin Tarantino.
You're talking about Quentin Tarantino. The first thing that's going to come in your head is bloody scenes. Just these crazy scenes with massive amounts of blood and just chaos. And you think about M. Night Shyamalan, and it's all about twists and turns in the plot. Yeah.
He's so well known for the twist that when I watched Trap and there wasn't a twist, I was kind of mad. Go into that movie knowing that there's absolutely zero twist and it will not be disappointing to you.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, here it comes. Here comes the crazy twist. I was like, oh, no twist.
You'd think for him that would be like holding back a sneeze. You know, you shouldn't do that. You're going to end up hurting yourself or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you hold back a twist in a movie?
Yeah.
When that's what he does.
Yeah. Something I noticed, I was doing some research and I noticed that he doesn't use the same cinematographer from movie to movie. And I think that, I mean, I get it. I know his reasoning behind that, but I thought it was weird. Steven Spielberg always uses the same cinematographer. He always uses Janusz Kaminski. Always. I think since Jurassic Park, maybe even before Jurassic Park.
Alec, what do you got to add for M. Night Shyamalan as far as directing or those types of things? What do you got?
Well, I did notice that the cinematographer for Signs he has used for two other movies, The Happening and The Sixth Sense, which I'm not sure if that's just because it was early off in his career. But one thing I noticed about the shots in Signs is that a lot of them are set up in a way that kind of make you feel uncomfortable or disoriented. Like, especially a lot of the close-ups, like towards the end when there's like the face-off with the alien. They use like a wide lens on Mel Gibson's face to kind of make it feel a little more disorienting. And then just like the different angles that they use, like when he's in the house and he cuts off the alien's fingers, they use like the Dutch angle under the door, and then the shot through the reflection of the knife. Like, I feel like it's kind of hard to fit as many unique shots as you can, especially ones that are trying to make the audience feel disoriented, into a story and make it motivated and make sense. But I think he does a good job of that, of finding the right places to.
Right.
You're talking about that wide angle shot, or that wide angle lens shot of Mel Gibson, where it's right up in his face when he sees the alien. Did anyone
Yeah.
else think the movie was going to end there?
What's the scene again?
But he was just going to see the alien and then it's over.
Yeah, it's the scene where he sees the alien and the alien's holding Morgan and the camera is right in his face. And it's that wide angle shot. And so his face looks kind of distorted. And he's just looking at the alien and the music's going. And I was like, movie's going to end there. It's just going to end with the alien taking the boy, and that's how the movie ends. But I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
So you said he's used that cinematographer 3 different times?
Yeah.
I guess I should have kept looking, because I was looking at a couple different movies and I was like, oh, he's got a different cinematographer for every one. But I guess
Tak Fujimoto, who was also the cinematographer for Silence of the Lambs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I was looking at the cinematography for Trap, and I know it's shot on digital, but it looked really, really good. Actually, let me confirm that it was shot on digital, because they made it look like film, and it looked really pleasing to the eye. The film grain looked nice. I think that was one of my favorite parts about it. I was like, man, it looks like an M. Night Shyamalan film that was shot in the 90s. It looked really nice.
Yeah, while you're looking that up. So a couple interesting things. Some movies that I think influenced M. Night. He said that among his favorite films are The Godfather, Jaws, The Exorcist, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Die Hard, Psycho, and Reservoir Dogs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why Trap looked like it was shot on film is because it was shot on film. Yeah. Yeah. It was shot on 35 millimeter film stock.
I think the best way to replicate a certain look is to do it.
Is to do that certain look. Don't fake it. Just actually do it. I thought it looked beautiful. It was, there were some really weird editing things at the beginning of the movie. But I know we're not talking about Trap, but I just thought that it looked beautiful.
Yeah, you can throw stuff in. It doesn't matter.
I thought, that was something I noticed when I watched Signs. Is I noticed film grain a lot. That was something that when you're a little kid watching movies, you don't care about film grain, but it looked so pleasing to the eye. And anytime I'm working on something, yeah, even when I'm sending in those videos for that documentary that I'm working on, I put film grain on it. It looks nice. It's pleasing. It makes it look pretty. I think it's nice.
So, Alec, you were talking about the kind of the suspensefulness of, when you're watching one of his movies, it's always set up so that you're always kind of feeling a little bit uneasy and you're not sure what's going to happen, type of thing.
Yeah.
And
and one thing that's different about his movies is you kind of think of them as horror movies and suspense movies, but they're not really like typical to either genre. Like, I think with both Signs and The Sixth Sense, there's kind of like traditional jump scares, but they're different in that they're not like there to get a quick scare out of you. They're there to make you uneasy for an
Yeah.
extended period of
Right.
time.
It kind of sets up that uneasy feeling and just kind of stays there. It kind of lingers with you.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when I just watched it today, I didn't remember this, but even the opening credits, I don't know if you noticed, even the opening credits were almost suspenseful with
Yeah,
the
the
music that
music.
was playing and that the way that they kind of came onto the screen, it was almost like, ew, I'm feeling uneasy already, and it hasn't
Yeah.
even started yet.
The music for this movie is incredible. The music does such a good job. It scares you when it's supposed to scare you. It makes you feel sad when you're supposed to feel sad.
Right.
Yeah, it does a very good job with the music. I think the composer was also the composer for The Sixth Sense, I believe.
Hmm.
I wish I had a Jamie.
Jamie, look that up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think moving away from like the visual style and stuff, I think one thing that is interesting about it is I know we talked about like how you watched the reaction videos and someone's talking about symbolism and stuff like that. But there was something I read a couple years ago that I just remembered that I think is pretty um, kind of important to the character arc of Graham and its religion, and how at the beginning, like, he's kind of lost his religion, and then by the end, he's found it. But I think what's interesting is that it is not just shown in him, it's something that's shown throughout the whole movie. And there's a theory that the aliens aren't actually aliens because they never say the word alien in it, but that they're actually supposed to be demons, and that the water is supposed to represent holy water and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
well, not necessarily to get into the movie just yet, because I'm still talking about, him as a director. But
yeah,
um, the dinner that they have, in my
mhm.
mind, I'm thinking this is the Last Supper.
Mm,
This family, I mean, it's not set up with, Christ and his apostles and blah blah blah, but this is kind of the end of the world. This is the end of things,
Yeah.
and this is their Last Supper to sit down together, and
Yeah.
this is the end.
I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
Also, this was that scene that I was talking about where that podcast I was listening to, the girl said this was just Mel Gibson just being 100% Mel Gibson. He's not acting here. He's just yelling at people, and they just had the camera rolling, and so they were like, let's capture this real quick.
Here, give Mel a drink and let's see what happens.
Just let him yell at this little girl. You know who stood out to me actor-wise and character-wise this time around was, first of all, Joaquin Phoenix, who played Meryl. He didn't stand out to me the first time I saw this movie. I thought he was fine, but for some reason this time around, he just really hit, really different for me this time. I don't know why he hit different. And it's so funny is that he is Graham's younger brother,
Right.
but they kind of don't have a brother relationship. They kind of have a father-son relationship. Have you noticed that? That it's kind of like he looks at Graham like he's the father, almost like there's such an age gap between them that he kind of like raised Meryl.
Right. Yeah, I do kind of see that. But I also, at the same time, there are a few scenes where it's almost like there's a role reversal. And it's almost like Graham is looking to
Meryl
to kind of be the wiser one. What do we do here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And another standout for me this time around was Cherry Jones, who was the police officer, Caroline Paskey. She had some awesome acting in this movie, especially the scene where Mel Gibson says, "You're telling me this is the last time I'm going to talk to my wife."
Right.
She you're watching Mel Gibson in that scene because it's an emotional scene for his character. But if you watch her, it made me, I was like, man, imagine being a police officer and having to tell somebody that.
Well, and this is a small town.
And
Everybody knows him. Everybody knows everybody. They're all friends.
At the beginning of the movie, she's calling him father.
Right.
Because I imagine that everybody went to the same church.
Right.
At a small town like that, if you lose your preacher, everybody.
It's devastating.
Everybody lost your preacher,
Right.
Like that was it. Right. Nobody had church anymore.
Right. And then they try and bring in another preacher, and his name is Hugh. And then it's like, hey, we don't want Hugh.
We don't want Hugh.
Yeah, we don't want Hugh.
Yeah, we should crap on that movie for an hour and a half. That'd be fun.
You know who they should have got to be the father?
Danny DeVito.
Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that played Ed Rooney and
Yes! Yeah! Ed Rooney. We haven't talked about Ed Rooney in a while.
What's his name again?
Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about him.
We don't talk about Jeffrey Jones.
We don't talk about
this.
Jeffrey
Is
Jones.
A 100% anti Jeffrey Jones podcast. We talk
This
about
is a
him.
Jeffrey Jones free zone.
Yeah. We talk about Jeffrey Jones, but we do not talk about Jeffrey Jones. Rooney, calm down.
Right. So I guess we'll talk about Signs now. I guess we've gotten into it.
Hey, did you know Jeffrey Jones was in Stuart Little?
Yes.
Do you know who wrote Stuart Little?
Jeffrey Jones.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay.
Yeah. Full circle, baby.
Oh my! Look where we went. All right, hit the goodbye button. We're done. Thanks, folks.
And we're back.
So Signs.
I'm gonna open my beer.
I did not write down the year that Signs came out. That was stupid.
2002.
Oh, 2002. Okay.
I almost said 2001, but cool.
So
something else happened that year.
The premise of what happened? You got Tabor choking on his grape crush.
I said I would have guessed 2001, and Alex said something else happened that year.
2001.
Yeah.
It was a space odyssey.
Oh, yeah. It was a different type of odyssey.
Is that the year Alec was born?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. We don't talk about that either. We don't talk about Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah.
And Alec's birthday.
And 9/11.
And 9/11. Yeah. Okay, so preacher Graham Hess, played by Mel Gibson, loses his faith in God after his wife, Patricia Callenber, dies in a brutal car accident. He lives with his children, played by Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin. Abigail Breslin, this was her film debut.
Nice.
She was little.
Yeah, she did a great job.
And she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Abigail Breslin's character. The actress who plays Daniel LaRusso's daughter in the Cobra Kai TV show was the body double for Abigail Breslin's character in Signs because of the amount of time that she was allowed to be on set since she was a child. So any shot that you didn't see Abigail Breslin's face in, they would have the other girl come in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder how much time that is.
And Abigail Breslin has gone on to do other things, obviously. She's in Zombieland, right?
Yes.
I'm remembering that. But because of Signs in the start that she got from this movie, it has kind of affected her acting style. And to this day, she's not able to do any crying scenes unless Mel Gibson yells at her.
She has to have a plate of spaghetti in front of her and Mel Gibson screaming at her.
Stop crying!
To be fair, I think anyone could do a crying scene with Mel Gibson yelling at them.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I
Yeah.
just think about it and I start tearing up.
Yeah. That is a great scene, though, when he's sitting there eating all those different things and he just breaks down.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So hold on. Let me finish up the little synopsis here real quick. So he's living with his children, who I said, his brother, played by Joaquin Phoenix, in a farmhouse. Crop circles start appearing in the cornfield. Graham dismisses them as mischief. After hearing strange noises and watching news coverage on crop circles that are appearing all over the world, the family grows suspicious of alien activities. Now they must stick together as a family to survive the ordeal. So, probably one of the greatest scenes in the whole movie is the meal scene. And like I said, the impression I got was, we're watching this father, and a lot of times when I watch movies now, my perspective is kind of, from a father perspective. So
Yeah.
I'm relating to Graham during this whole event and thinking, how would I be feeling? What would I be doing? What kind of decisions would I be making for my family to keep them safe? And so the meal thing, I think Meryl, Joaquin Phoenix, for the dinner, he just wants to make sandwiches. And Mel Gibson is like, well, what do you want? And then what do you want? And then and so everybody gets to pick a completely different thing. And it's going to take a long time to make, and it's going to be a big mess and stuff. But
They didn't even clean it up.
no, yeah.
They just left it. Yeah.
Well, they left it for the aliens. If they're going to be taken over, I'm not going to do the dishes. So
it's your planet.
Screw this.
It's your dishes.
Right. So, but, why did they decide to give everybody a completely separate meal? What are they trying to convey there? Why not just make the sandwiches and then get on with boarding up the house? That would have been way easier.
It's special. It's the same reason why you give inmates their final meal. If it's going to be the last thing that you ever eat while you're on this earth, make it the greatest thing you've ever had.
So I kind of think what they were kind of trying to convey there was each person as an individual. And we're going to take the time to create what you want. Not just this blanket meal. It's going to be, what do you want? I just forgot their names. Morgan, what do you want, Bo? What do you want, Meryl? And everybody gets to pick something completely different that they love to eat. And so they're special now. And kind of like what I alluded to before was about the Last Supper idea. You've got the Graham, who was a pastor, and he's lost his faith. And here you're setting your family down to this basically Last Supper because they don't know what's going to happen after this. And, everybody's feeling special. Everybody's getting their own thing. Alec?
Yeah.
What you got?
Yeah.
Good enough.
Don't worry. We'll fix it. We'll add dialogue in post.
We have AI.
Yeah. Also, how the hell did they have the stuff to make chicken teriyaki?
I know, that was the other thing that I thought was funny was when he's asking everybody what they want and they're naming it off. I'm thinking, I wouldn't be able to I'd have to go to the store.
Yeah. I get having spaghetti. there's always spaghetti laying around. You know,
Yeah,
that's an
Even
apocalypse.
if it's not in a box, it might just be loose in the drawer.
It's in the drawer.
Loose
The spaghetti drawer.
There's always spaghetti noodles somewhere.
Junk drawer spaghetti.
Yeah.
Just like, Bo, what's wrong? You've barely touched your AA batteries.
This one's dead. So that meal scene, also that dinner scene, I read that it only took them 3 hours to film, which seemed really fast. As much
Say, how long did it take him?
3 hours to put that together and film it done.
That is very fast.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So there must not have been a lot of takes. I mean, a lot of it was just
I'm sure that everyone was probably. I mean, I don't know what order it was filmed in, since you don't typically shoot in script order. But I'd assume at that point they were probably all pretty into their characters. And also, for something that's that emotionally intense, you probably don't want to do too many takes, just because
right,
after a while you probably start to lose that
right.
kind of initial impact.
The other thing I was kind of wondering was, sometimes they don't let actors know what's coming up or what's going to happen in this scene. They keep that from them. And then you get this real, raw, emotion or whatever they're looking for. And I was wondering, I wonder if they didn't really know, other than, Mel Gibson, he's going to have to know the rant he's going to put on here. But did the kids know? Did they go through this multiple times and know what was going on? Or is it like Mel unleashed on them and they're crying? And
another thing that could have happened is I don't know if it mentions in there when they shot this scene. It could have been the last thing that they shot.
yeah, in what order? I don't know. Yeah.
If it was the last thing they shot, they could have been emotional because they're about to say goodbye to each other.
That's true. Yeah.
Another thing about not knowing what's going on, the first scene where Graham meets Ray Reddy, he didn't know that was going to be M. Night Shyamalan.
Which part are you talking about? Like at the car, at the accident?
No, not at the accident, because the first scene they filmed with Ray Reddy was when he was in his SUV. It was all packed, ready to go. And he was like, hey, I had your phone number by my phone for 6 months. Was working up the courage to call you.
Okay. So you're saying, as far as order goes, because that's not the first time.
That's not the first time you see him in the movie.
Right.
No.
Okay.
That was the first scene that they shot with Ray Reddy. So up until that point, he had no idea who was going to play Ray Reddy. So he was explaining to Mel Gibson what was going to happen, what was going to, transpire. And he goes, all right, ready? And he goes, yeah, I'm ready. And then he gets in the front seat. And they were like, wait, what are you doing?
Right.
He's like, I'm Ray.
Oh, and by the way, I'm Ray.
And M. Night Shyamalan was saying how kind of intimidated he was, because not only is Mel Gibson an incredible actor, he's also a director. He had directed Braveheart by that point.
Yeah.
So not only, a lot of times directors can kind of be intimidated by big name actors, because an actor will kind of like throw their weight around if they choose to be jerks. Not all of them are like that. But a freaking actor that's also a director, because an actor will have the way that they would do things, but then another director would have a way that they would do things. Alec and I would not direct the same scene the same way.
Well, I can totally see being intimidated by Mel Gibson. I mean, he's kind of an intimidating figure, you know?
They're doing that scene where he's in the car. He's like, hey, I don't think they like water. Stop crying.
Right. Yeah. I would have wet myself like the dog.
Yeah.
So, Johnny Depp was actually originally approached to be the dad character.
I think Clint Eastwood was also.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
I read about Johnny Depp. But in the end, M. Night wanted Mel Gibson because he's the guy you believe would protect his family at all costs. That's what he saw in Mel Gibson. That's believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in there about the alternate casting for Meryl?
Joaquin Phoenix replaced Mark Ruffalo,
Yeah.
who had to pull out of the film because of a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a dream that he had a brain tumor. And he woke up and he just couldn't shake the dream. And his friends are like, it's just a dream, man. You know, take it easy.
Right.
So because he couldn't shake the dream, he went to the doctor. And the doctor's like, yo, dude, you got a brain tumor.
Right. It was probably like a spontaneous thing. Like he willed it into existence.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about the movie and Joaquin Phoenix, of course, if Mark Ruffalo would have done the movie, then, you know, I probably would have thought, well, Mark Ruffalo did a great job. I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, when I think about these characters, Joaquin Phoenix, he was that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't picture other people really working in these spots.
Yeah.
Alec, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Say stuff every once in a while.
You guys are saying a lot of good things.
Well, I know, but I don't know if I lose you or not.
And careful, you're rocking the mic and we're picking it up.
This is my show. I'll rock the mic if I want.
I think one thing that's cool about Joaquin Phoenix's character is that I think it's the only character he's played that seems like a normal person. I feel like Joaquin Phoenix plays such different characters in everything he's in, to where like you'll watch something and be like, yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix, but then you think about him in Signs and you're like, oh, that's the same guy. Like,
right.
Hey, Jamie,
I
roll the Letterman clip. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he got a little weird there for a while.
Yeah.
But like I watch Joker and I'm like, yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix. He plays Joker. And then I watch Signs. I'm like, yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix. He plays Meryl. But then I think of Meryl versus Joker and I'm like, that's not the same guy.
No. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Two totally different people.
But maybe that's what makes a good actor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right, Murray?
Like if they got Ryan Reynolds to play Meryl, it would just be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that would be.
He can't play anyone else.
That would be insufferable.
I probably, yeah. We wouldn't be talking about this show right now.
Gosh.
Because he would play it as Deadpool, and
I
I
know.
just could not take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Alec, I'm going to need you to find that video that you sent me of Joker pulling out the gun and then going, and then shooting.
Well, that's going to be loud.
Yeah.
Does he say shoot up 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 up?
Yeah, he like scats for a couple minutes and then he shoots Robert De Niro in the head. And I think
I don't know.
I think I laughed for like 10 days straight. Had to call off work.
I don't know if I ever sent you that. I think that was a fever dream you had.
He thinks you did.
I remember one where he says the line right before he goes to shoot Robert De Niro, and then he pulls the trigger and nothing comes out, and then Robert De Niro just stares at him,
and then he goes, "Sorry."
Yeah, that is what he says. I forgot about that.
So that first scene with M. Night and Mel Gibson. So that scene, I had read that they shot that scene one day. Let's see, M. Night Shyamalan scene where he talks to Hess about the death of his wife was shot one day after a member of Shyamalan's family passed away.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah. What's your guys' opinion on M. Night showing up in his movies? Does it bother you or do you like it?
No, I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's like an Easter egg. Now I look for him.
Yeah.
I don't think it takes me out of it in any way, except for in The Village. That's the only one where I'm like,
You
this
don't
is
you don't see him in The Village. You only hear him.
exactly. That's what takes me out of it, is that it's like a blatant cameo where they're trying not to show him, but they want you to know that he's there.
Huh.
I think he's a pretty good actor. So, I don't, if he wanted to be in his
I mean,
movies,
he's no Quentin Tarantino, but he's a decent actor.
yeah. If he wanted to be in his movies and he sucked, then it'd be like, oh, come on, dude.
All right. Quentin Tarantino, his acting. All right, Dad, I'm going to give you a little bit of editing room here. Shut up, Black.
I got to edit that out.
No, you got to edit that in.
He's already had to cut that out once because of Binks.
Binks came in the room and wouldn't shut up.
Was that the Christian episode?
It might have been.
Yeah.
Where are we at here?
I was going to say something, but I forgot it, so I guess I'm back to being quiet.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Bubba. Oh, the crickets.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That's something I didn't notice when I watched it the first time. Gosh, when you watch a movie as a child, you're not seeing the full. You're an idiot. Children are idiots.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell you that for a long time.
I wish I would have listened, but I was an idiot.
I actually experienced that recently because
Being an idiot?
watching well, yeah, but also realizing that I was an idiot as a child who didn't like really get movies or pay attention at all, because I just watched Interstellar again the other day.
Oh, I did too. I think I watched it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And last time I watched it was in 2014 when the movie came out. And I remember it being long and kind of uninteresting. And then I watched it this time and I was completely focused the whole time. Like, it felt like there was never a moment where I wasn't interested in what was going on.
I have to watch it again. I've only seen it once. Have not seen it since. We'll bring Nicholas in on that episode.
Yeah, we'll bring Christopher Nolan in.
Yeah. We got John McTiernan to talk to us for a little bit on his episode.
Well, I mean, he's probably not doing much nowadays.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. He didn't answer, Dad.
I did. I found an email for him and I sent him an email telling him what I was doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't respond.
What a scumbag.
About 12 years ago, I sent an email to Bruce Campbell telling him about how much I loved the Evil Dead movies and I wanted to get into the movie business. And I got a reply back that was just a link about where I can buy his book.
That
Merch.
seems like a very Bruce Campbell thing to do, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't even think that was an automated response. I think he saw your message and I think he was like, yeah, I'll send him a link to my book.
I'm not going to send him the book.
Yeah,
I'm going to send him a link
link
to buy the book.
Check out my book, If Chins Could Kill.
Good grief. Oh, crickets.
Yeah.
What about the crickets? Did you notice that
Yeah.
the cricket in the scenes just before something's going to happen, there's
The crickets stop chirping.
and then all of a sudden it's quiet.
Yeah. The sheriff mentioned something about that, how like anytime a predator's nearby, the animals go quiet. And so
Right.
that's kind of like a little foreshadowing thing that when the aliens show up, that the crickets do the same thing.
Here's the other thing that I thought was really cool that I noticed this time. A lot of these things I'm noticing about this movie, like you, I don't really notice them the first 25 times I watch the show. But I didn't realize how much the scenes are kind of framed inside something like a window or a doorway. There's a lot of stuff going on where the character's looking through
A TV screen,
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Clever framing.
a frame within a frame is what we call it.
Ah, nice.
That film school's paying off.
Look at what you've
Exactly.
learned already.
Yeah.
Frame inside a frame. You probably Googled that.
It's like Inception.
Yeah, it's frameception.
So that scene where the family is in town and they're sitting in the little pizza parlor
Yeah.
and they're having their pizza, and then Ray Reddy comes out and he's going to get in his truck and take off, and that where they're kind of looking at each other and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool how it's like they're looking at each other through the doorway.
Yeah.
Back and forth. It was kind of
We talked about how hard it would be to be in the position of Mel Gibson after his wife was just cut in half by a truck.
mm-hmm.
And then also how hard it would be to be the police officer having to give that information. But imagine how hard it would be to be the person responsible for that.
Yeah, the person that did it.
Having to live with that for the rest of your life. Like, even if you get forgiveness, which I'm sure would probably be pretty cathartic, still thinking you didn't deserve that forgiveness or they didn't actually mean it, things like that.
Right. You killed somebody.
Yeah.
And now you got to deal with that. Yep.
I don't want any of you spending time alone with Tracy Abernathy. It's really weird is that she is just this weird little teenage girl the first time you're watching this movie. That's Merritt Weaver. She's in a ton of stuff now. She was in an entire season of The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
She's in this new season of Severance.
I haven't seen the new Severance, but I've seen The Walking Deads and stuff. And I thought she looked familiar,
Yeah.
but I couldn't think of where she was.
Yeah.
So what else about the movie? Oh, the baby monitor scene. I loved the baby monitor scene because it was really cool how it was almost like they used the family to become an antenna on top of the car.
Yeah.
You could kind of hear something going on when they were holding it up, but it wasn't until they all linked up together that's where, we really picked up the signal. So I thought that was kind of a cool way to, to bring about that, the baby monitor and the sounds that were coming out of it was to almost make the family as a one unit,
Yeah. And there's a great example in this scene, but there's lots of examples throughout the movie where Meryl is clearly a believer and he's going to go along with what the kids are saying.
Right.
Where Morgan's like, don't stop. And Meryl goes, you'll lose the signal.
Right.
He believes the kids. And it's so funny how much sway and authority Morgan kind of has in the family. He's just a little kid, but he kind of, he's got a little bit of authority and he's got the respect of Meryl, and it's kind of neat.
Right. So, along with that, the influence in Meryl, and I like how there are several places where they kind of interweave humor into the scenes and stuff. And one of the funniest things is, when the dad goes into the bedroom and the kids are in there with the book by Dr. Bimbu.
Dr. Bimbu.
Yeah. And they've got their foil hats on, right? Because they don't want the aliens to read their brains.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, a little bit of trivia here. Those foil hats, those tinfoil hats, where did I put that? They're not actually aluminum foil. They are beeswax paper that were chrome painted. So I thought that was kind of weird. Why wouldn't you just use tinfoil, instead of creating that's just a prop where you tear off a sheet and it's done.
So I can imagine, you mentioned this the other day and I was thinking about it and I started to think, why would they do that? And there's a couple reasons why. One, maybe the tin foil would get hot under the studio lights.
Okay.
Two, maybe the tin foil would reflect in ways that they didn't want. And so if
with the lights and stuff,
if you can fake tin foil with with wax paper, it won't reflect like actual tin foil will.
Right.
Also, they could have gotten tinfoil could probably, get damaged more easily if they were doing multiple takes, and maybe the wax paper would hold its shape better. There's a whole list of reasons why they probably went with.
Yeah, maybe they tried tinfoil and it just didn't look good.
Yeah,
didn't look like tinfoil.
So anyways, I thought sound.
Oh yeah,
like
sound.
They were moving around and it was crinkling and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, freaking sound guy.
Oh
See?
yeah,
he knows his stuff. Yeah.
Okay, well that's probably why they did it. But
when he mentioned sound, I think that cemented it for me. I think that's what it is. That wax paper's not going to make nearly as much sound as tinfoil is.
So the humor part of this is, the dad goes in, the kids got these hats on, and that's kind of a funny exchange. But then after Mel Gibson comes back from Ray Reddy's place and, has chopped off the fingers of the alien under the door and stuff. And
Meryl sees the TV.
Yeah. He walks in the door and I'm mixing up scenes. But anyways, he comes back to the house at one point, and on the couch are sitting the two kids with their tinfoil hats on, and Meryl in the middle of them, also with a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is friggin' hilarious that they've talked him into doing this.
What's Meryl's response? They can read our thoughts.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. But he becomes like a full-time believer when he sees that scene where they have that video footage from, I think it's Colombia.
Yeah.
It's the little kid's birthday party.
It comes out of the bushes.
Yeah. Move, children. Vámonos.
Right.
Yeah. And
was it Colombia? Because I think they were speaking Portuguese.
Okay. Let's get technical here.
Well, you want to be accurate, don't you? Or do you want to be a hack?
We're going to go with the hack.
Yeah, no, he's right. I don't want to be a hack. I have a thing about being called a hack. I can't do it. Whatchamacallit? The first time I watched the movie, I thought he came out from behind the bush. But if you watch it again, he is part of the bush.
He's in the bush.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's camouflaged.
Right. They have some camouflage ability.
Yeah.
Right. And
remember how scary that scene was the first time you saw it?
Oh yeah. And when Meryl sees it come out of the bush and stuff, and he launches himself backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd do the same thing. It'd be like, is this real?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. His reaction is perfect. And then, move, children, vámonos. Such a funny line. I love that.
It's behind.
You sounded just like that kid.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even have to play the clip.
I love how they have to throw in a little bit of English into that in a country where they don't speak English on a regular basis, just to let the audience know that it's behind.
So we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
What are your guys' thoughts on the CGI? Which, watching it as a kid, it looked pretty good, but watching it now, it's pretty obvious it's CGI.
I do not hold old movies. I do not hold it against them. They were working within the standards that they had. They did what they had with what they could, and I do not hold that against them. Like, I do not hold any ill will towards RoboCop for using freaking stop motion for Ed 209.
He's falling out the window.
Yeah.
So the CGI thing, I actually had read that M. Night doesn't really like using a lot of CGI in his stuff. And so the crop circles, they actually made those. Those are real. It
Yeah.
wasn't CGI'd crop circles.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have had the technology in 2002 to make CGI crop circles that looked realistic anyways.
Yeah.
Mm.
They would have done
Just because it's more organic material. Like you can CGI an alien and have suspension of disbelief, but with something you see every day, it's a little harder.
Yeah. They would have CGI'd it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
They do like their best, definitely, to hide it with shadows and silhouetting and stuff, but there's only so much they can do.
So the aliens, we were talking about them being able to camouflage. I guess originally M. Night wanted them to be invisible, but he couldn't get the effect to work out the way he wanted it to. So they went with camouflage.
Another fun fact about the aliens. The one on the roof is not CGI. That one is Derek Mears.
That's Derek Mears?
That's Derek
For real?
Mears. Yep.
Oh, that's crazy.
Same actor who plays Jason
Voorhees.
the Friday the 13th remake.
That's cool. Derek Mears is really, that's awesome.
Anytime you need a tall,
big
bald
imposing
man.
a big imposing Derek Mears didn't play the monster that's holding Morgan, right? That's CGI, isn't it?
Yeah. They probably had some sort of a stand-in for like just the interaction between him when he's holding him, but I don't think that one was Derek Mears.
Okay. I did not know that. That's freaking cool. It's weird all the places that Derek Mears shows up.
When you least expect him and least want him to.
Unexpected Derek Mears. All right. Well,
showed up at my apartment the other day.
Just standing on your roof, camouflaged in the night.
Yeah, I don't want a 6'5" bald man standing on my roof. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Excluding the fact that a 6 foot tall Scandinavian woman was running outside our house last night. What other theories do you have? We should roll that clip. That's a funny line.
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, Jamie, pull up that clip, please. I'm gonna kill those cats, dude. They will not shut up.
Another thing I didn't notice, because we were talking about color, which the first thing I think of when I think of M. Night Shyamalan and color is Unbreakable.
I haven't seen that yet.
I have not either, but in one of my classes, we watched a behind the scenes video about the color theory of that movie. And I thought it was really interesting, just like how they use, of course, purple with Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah. Well, that's because Samuel L. Jackson loves purple.
Yeah.
That's like
his thing. Worked it into the character and the meaning behind it and stuff. And then blue for Bruce Willis's character. But the clothing choices and signs, because whenever I think of like the two main characters, Graham and Meryl, the first thing I think of is the iconic blue sweaters that they wear.
Yeah.
At like towards the end of the movie. But I didn't notice that earlier in the movie, Graham is wearing a like orangish brown plaid button-up shirt, and so is Morgan. So I wonder what the symbolism is there of the matching between Morgan and Graham halfway through the movie, and then the matching between Meryl and Graham later in the movie. Like, I wonder if it has to do with Meryl kind of stepping up and becoming, I don't know, like a man of his own instead of just being the younger brother of Graham.
Well, what color is Morgan wearing at the end?
Trying
to remember.
Morgan's still wearing
that orange.
It's a different plaid shirt, but it's a similar colored plaid shirt.
Huh.
With a t-shirt underneath it and overalls.
Huh. Okay.
So,
But I don't know much about symbolism. I'm just a sound guy.
Well, talk to us about sound. What did you notice about the sound for this movie this time around? We already talked about the crickets. What else did you notice?
I mean, I haven't watched it in a few years, but
You didn't.
I've seen it in.
You didn't refresh for this.
No.
Oh.
I don't. I rarely watch movies at all. Actually,
The guy that makes movies doesn't watch movies.
yeah. Well, the guy that makes movies didn't start watching movies until after he made movies. So.
True. Well,
But I've watched it enough times to remember like
that it has sound.
the basic parts of it, but the sound in particular, I think mostly the first thing I think of when I think of this movie, just in general, is the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Also
how much it kind of stands out and kind of takes on a life of its own. Because I think, trying to remember, but I think that there are a lot of scenes that just don't have music. And that's what builds a lot of the tension.
right.
Is
Well,
that like there are some movies that use music to build tension, and this one doesn't introduce the music until the tension is already built, and it's like the climax of that scene.
right. Yeah, I was going to say the use of silence is the way they don't have something there kind of creates the mood or the feeling.
Yeah.
Two instances that I can think of is the scene at the beginning where Graham says, "I can't hear my children."
Yeah.
And then they sprint through. Oh, that's some great sound design too. The sound of them running through the corn.
Through the corn.
That's a cool sound. Very cool sound. And another great use of silence is when they're locked in the house and the last dog is barking, and then the dog stops.
And then it's quiet.
Yeah.
I think that Signs does a great job of using sound to tell a story off screen, which I don't think many movies do. Like they focus on sound design of what you can see, but like the first thing I think of is when the alien jumps off the roof. You don't actually see it, but you hear the impact and you hear the swing. And those two sounds are all you need to know that he jumped all the way from the roof to the swing and got away before they could see him.
Right.
Freaking Derek Mears, man.
He can, yeah, he's an Olympic athlete.
Gosh dang Olympian. Ooh, so another sound design thing is the alien noises. The clicking,
the trilling.
Yeah, the clicking and the trilling, the kind of insect. Something I noticed this time around was looking at the alien's face when he's holding Morgan and he's making that noise. You can see his like teeth clicking. He kind of looks kind of insect-like.
Yeah.
Because I remember one of the things that you remember about that movie is the sounds that those aliens make. It's a very iconic sound. I mean, there's even times where, even to this day, where Nicholas, one of my other brothers, walks around the house making that freaking noise.
Right.
But he's unmedicated.
He's
so.
just trying to connect with the other aliens.
Speaking of, Nicholas called me a couple minutes ago during the interview.
Okay.
I was just letting you know.
Oh, okay.
He might want to call in at some point. Maybe we can talk to him afterwards.
Oh, does he want to talk about this? Because I know he wanted to talk whoever his favorite guy is.
Maybe. He might want to call in.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. He's going to call up and make a bunch of clicking noises and hang up. Is that what we need?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
It's not about what we need. It's about what we want.
Yeah.
So, yes, and what we want. So, like I had said, watching the movie, I kind of connect with the dad and the decisions the dad has to make and stuff. So when I'm watching this, I'm looking at the dinner scene, and you can just see the weight on this dad. He's getting ready to just break because he has no idea how to save his family. He has no idea how to keep them safe. It's just, dads are supposed to be, they're supposed to know, and they're supposed to be there, and they're supposed to take care of things, and they're supposed to take away the fear. And when you have this situation where, the dad has no idea how to do that, right? But one of the scenes when they're, I think it's when he comes back from Ray Reddy's after cutting off the fingers of the alien. I'm going back to that now. And he comes home, and they're going to kind of he's talking to them about, he heard that the aliens might not like water. Maybe we should pack up some stuff and head to the lake. And then it's kind of put to a vote, right? And it happens that the vote was, it went the right way. Them staying at the house probably in the end maybe was the better thing, but I don't know because we didn't see the other version. But while they're taking this vote and stuff, I'm thinking from a dad standpoint, I'm thinking this is not a democracy. When maybe we vote on what movie we want to go see, or we vote on, where we're going to go to dinner and stuff like that. But when it's a situation where this is life or death and your family is going to be, possibly taken by aliens or whatever, we're not voting on that stuff. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I make the decision. I'm the only one that, we're not going to discuss, what you think and then what Meryl thinks and what everybody thinks and stuff like that. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was kind of interesting that it came down to a vote, and whatever the vote was, that's what they did. So it was kind of weird to see that's the way it happened,
Yeah.
Another thing I find interesting is that going back to the whole religion thing is that they kind of had to stay there for things to play out the way they did. If they would have gone to the lake, maybe they would have been just fine, but they might not have been brought back together as a family, and he might not have found his faith again.
right?
But everything kind of lined up like divine intervention, the way that Bo set up all the water all around the house, the way that
Right.
Meryl's life as a failed baseball player kept him there in the house for that moment.
Well, they had to they had to tie things back in to what the dying wife said.
Yeah.
She's telling Graham see, and then she says swing away. Well,
Yeah.
they got to pull that back in to have some
Mhm.
meaning that was a sign.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But also the way that Morgan's lungs close and stuff, like none of it was coincidence.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all like it was set up that way. And I mean, of course it was. It's a movie that was written by a person.
Right.
But I mean, in the context of their world.
6 months. It took him 6 months to write that.
Nice.
Yeah, not too bad.
Dang.
So that was the
Takes
other.
me 6 months to write a short film.
I know, to come up with a title.
Yeah.
The dinner scene, that was one of the other things that took place is we saw the family, they kind of broke and came together, right? They became kind of a unit again when everything just kind of came to a head, and everything kind of snapped.
The
and
tipping
then,
point.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, okay, now we're all in this together again, and right.
Yeah, you're tapping on the
I'm
table.
not. I keep hearing stuff, but I don't know where it's coming from.
It's you're literally tapping on the leg of the table.
This? I don't think so.
Yeah,
No, that's your finger.
it was your finger.
That
I watched
was-
your finger tapping on the.
Was I?
Yes, you were literally tapping on the table.
I gotta go take my meds.
Okay.
By the way, side note, you were talking about how Alan saw Sixth Sense for the first time last year. I also saw Sixth Sense for the first time last year
Yeah.
when we were at the Airbnb in Rexburg.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's right. We watched it there,
Yeah.
didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was I asleep?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was the
you
day
went
that
to
you were
bed.
really tired.
I think you were sick.
It was all the days I was really tired. I slept nonstop while I was there.
Yeah.
What about nonstop, though?
Nonstop. Oh, that's. Oh, you need to get that on one of your buttons.
I have that sound on my phone.
Yeah, get it on one of your buttons so we can just hit the nonstop button.
Okay.
And then you can just hit it nonstop.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, or maybe you talked about while I had stepped away, but the camouflage part of the aliens. Did you notice that every once in a while, images would show up on their skin,
Yeah.
like when the alien, when Meryl's gonna hit it with the bat and Bo is screaming, you can see her in
Bo's
her image,
face,
right,
yeah.
in his back.
And did you notice how it's not completely see-through? There's like a refresh time that it's like a janky. It'll be there for 1 second and then it'll refresh,
Right.
and then it's not a perfect camouflage. It's like a slow,
Like a chameleon, and it's changing, and it has to keep updating.
exactly, yeah,
Right.
mm-hmm.
You hear that?
Yeah.
It wasn't me. Okay. What else? What else you got, Alec? Anything else on this?
All right.
I don't know. Let me Google some stuff.
They did talk about, we're seeing an alien invasion from the viewpoint of one family, basically. I mean, I know Ray Reddy is headed to the lake and stuff, and the alien's at his house, and we see stuff on the news, but we're really just kind of watching the viewpoint of this one family going through this.
Yeah. And I just let you know we've been recording for an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I knew we weren't going to get to Trap, but I've decided that M. Night Shyamalan is going to be a 2-part.
Okay.
So I want to do another one and at least talk about at least one more or two more of his movies
Sure.
at another time.
Okay.
I've covered just about everything I could think of. It was an awesome show.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that I connected with in it, and it was from the point of view of just a normal family going through normal stuff, and here's aliens that they have to deal with. So I thought M. Night did a fantastic job of telling this story,
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's still, gosh, The Sixth Sense is a great movie, but this one might be my favorite of his. It's so good. It's emotional. The cast is great. They just work so well together. They don't feel like actors in a room. They feel like a family,
Right.
and they do such a good job.
So what's next for M. Night Shyamalan? He has his sights set on his next mysterious project, and looks like he's collaborating with Jake Gyllenhaal, who is set to star in the next upcoming film. It says supernatural romantic thriller.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you see Creep? No. Is it
Creep?
Is it Creep, Alec?
Um,
The one? No. What's the one that he's in? A Nightcrawler. Did you see Nightcrawler?
oh yeah.
That who's in?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Nightcrawler.
He's like
Explain it a little bit.
He is a videographer who gets videos of accidents and stuff and sells them to news people.
No, haven't seen it.
You should check it out.
Huh. Cool.
All right. Signs, everywhere sign.
One more thing that I just looked up. When they take the dog outside because he's acting weird and he's peeing on the floor and stuff.
Right.
I didn't notice that Graham doesn't call the vet, even though that's something out of the ordinary. And the reason why is because when he goes to Ray Reddy's house, you see that on the mailbox he's the veterinarian.
Right.
Yeah, he says he's going to call the doctor, and Morgan says, "Doctor doesn't treat animals."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, but he'll know what to do."
Right. Yeah, but he's not
he doesn't want to call the vet because he doesn't want to call Ray.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So we didn't do this for Godzilla. We forgot to do it.
So hold on, one more thing.
Okay.
So what camp are you in? Do you see signs in events, or are you in the camp of sometimes you're just lucky and things just happen and there are no real signs that, or do you see miracles?
Do I see miracles or do I see coincidences?
Right.
Gosh, that's a very deep philosophical question for a podcast about movies.
It is.
Gosh.
Again, another theme pointing back to religion. Signs isn't just talking about the symbols and the crop circles. It's talking about signs and wonders.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd say right now at this point in my life, I am more of a coincidence person. That I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a miracle person.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That could change.
Alec?
I think both. I think there's such things as coincidences, but man, there are certain things that you just can't explain away.
Right. Well, you always wonder, we don't always get to see why things happen, the reason that they happen. We don't get to see the broader picture, but I do. I'm a miracle man, like
Meryl.
I think that I don't think that things. I think we have free agency, and I think that I think things are set up and happen for a reason, that they're not just coincidental type things. I just don't always know why something happened the way it happened. But what I do know is when I get to a certain point, like say a job, I can look back and see all the different things that had to take place for me to get to that spot for the job, right? So I can look back and I can start seeing the miracles basically that happened that got me there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a miracle guy.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, something that we did not do for the Godzilla episode that I was bummed that we forgot. We got to do our letterboxed 0 to 5 scale.
We didn't do that?
We did not.
Oh.
So
Christian was throwing me off the whole night. His whole vibe, I don't know.
I know. Just with all those racial slurs that we're going to have to cut out. I mean,
I know.
the energy was off. It was just,
Who shows up to a podcast completely drunk?
I know.
I don't think it was necessary.
I know. And dressed as Bozo the Clown. I know that we're just starting out, but a little more professionalism would have been nice.
Okay, actually, if he would have shown up dressed as Bozo the Clown and drunk, I would have been fine with that.
You're living in the 60s, man.
The fact that he showed up as Christian and sober, you were not fine with that.
All right, Alec, what's your letterboxed 0 to 5?
I'm more of a out of 10 type of person.
Oh,
Even
okay.
though you use Letterbox, you're gonna do it on.
I use both Letterboxd and IMDb, and I don't like either because neither of them have like fractions out of 10. If I'm gonna give something,
you need fractions. You
if
can't
I'm gonna
just
give some, I think it's stupid to give something like a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 because you compare it to something else that you give an 8 out of 10, and they're not going to be the same 8.
What? Okay, yeah.
All right.
So we'll let you go to 10 then, if it makes you feel
Yay.
better. And if you need, if you want to throw a fraction in there, throw it in.
If you want to use imaginary numbers, go nuts.
Personally, this is this is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. And this is one of 2 movies that have made me cry.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
saying something because he never cries.
Yeah. What
Exactly.
part? What part?
Swing Away, Meryl.
Okay. Yeah. Swing Away, Meryl. Did we even talk about Swing Away, Meryl?
Briefly, and I think it was a joke. I don't think we talked about it seriously.
Because that was part of bringing what she had to say back into this is a sign.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually took an acting class a few years ago, and I did a scene where I had to cry. And beforehand, I watched that scene from Signs to try to get myself to cry. But it's also, for me, a top 50 movie. So just because it's...
Fractions
I
and
don't know.
top 50. What the hell is going on here?
Shut up. It was formative in my childhood years.
You can tell we're brothers, can't you?
So what is your 0 to 10 fraction top 50?
I would say about an 8.5 out of 10.
That's not even a fraction, you dipshit. That's a decimal.
They're the same thing. Just because they're in different forms doesn't mean a fraction and the decimal can't be equal. 0.5 and 1/2 are the same thing.
Okay.
All right.
Using the letterbox scale because that's where I rate all of my movies, and I'm not going to change that. They do a 0 to 5.
Sheep.
I'm giving this.
Did he just call you a sheep?
I think he did.
Nice.
I'm giving this a 4.
Excuse me, heavens.
Yeah.
A 4
out of 5.
0 to 5, you got a 4. Okay. And
so 8 out of 10.
And Alec is 8 out of 10. If we're going to convert it.
Fine. If we're going to letterbox, I guess I'm a 4.25 out of 5.
All right.
4.2.
And I'm going to do the letter system and from A to Z. And I'm feeling like as far as M. Night Shyamalan movies go, he's got at least a Y, right? I think he's probably, and as far as like all movies, if I'm talking about, I'm gonna rate his movie compared to pretty much all movies.
So Godfather being Z and Apollo 18 being an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie compared to all movies that I've seen, it's hang on, I got to think of my alphabet here. It's at least
a V or a U.
Probably a V. Yeah. I'd probably throw it into the V category. Yeah.
We need to get.
So now I got to do some calculation.
Convert that into 0 to 10, and then convert that into 0 to 5.
Wait. I got this.
Okay, hold on. I am waiting on the line.
Which letter? Where's V at a?
He was a Y. So that's a 9 out of 10. Or a 4 out of 5. I don't know.
Well, V. If you said for all movies, V.
Yeah.
V is the 22nd letter, and there's 26 letters, so you give it about an 84.6%. So about an 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 8.5 on the IMDb Alec scale.
Yeah.
Now converted to the
4.25.
4.25 on the letterbox scale.
And you gave it a Shyamalan Y, which is 25 out of 26, which is 96%. So about a 9.6 out of 10, which 9.6 divided by 2 is 4.8 on the letterbox scale.
Holy mackerel.
Okay, now we need to get Michael Scott's notebook that has the conversion chart from gold stars to, yeah.
I think this time that we took just grading it took longer than the podcast, the episode.
Well, with the power of editing, this can be the entire podcast.
I'm going to the letter system. I like it.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you very much, Alec, for joining us on the episode today.
This was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun hearing from you. Very informative.
I'm disappointed you didn't invite me to the Edgar Wright one, seeing as how he's my favorite director, but that's fine.
Well, we didn't have the capabilities of calling you at the time. We do now.
Didn't have the technology.
Yeah, it wasn't invented yet.
Now,
we have another Edgar Wright on the docket.
Yeah, we are doing a part 2 for Edgar Wright.
Okay.
So we'll have more. And actually on that one, we are going to look at, I don't know what we're going to look at. Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver, Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Because you weren't in on the Cornetto trilogy, were you?
No.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Hot Fuzz is my favorite movie too. So
yeah. Well, maybe we'll do a second part of part 1.
We'll do part 1, part 2.
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we'll do part 2,
one and a half.
Yeah, and then we'll do part 2, part 1. How do you grade that on a letter system though? Like it's part D, right?
So we got part 1,
part 1A,
and part 1B.
Part 1B. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But if we're doing letters, then it'd be like an A minus.
Gotcha.
For part 1, part 2, and then like a B plus for part 1, part 1, or part 2, part 1.
This is getting out of control. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to my dad's movie podcast. Dad, you want to let us out of here?
Yes.
You want to unlock the door?
Let us out of our cell. Man, that got out of hand fast.
I'm going to say that.
All right.
Bye, Alec.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so quick little.
I've been a long time listener of the Bob and Tom show.
So this is a little my dad's movie podcast.
First time caller.
Yeah, special update. Nicholas, my brother, that we talked about at great lengths. By the way, before you go, you are going to have to make the signs clicking alien noises.
There it is.
I'm holding Woody in the corner.
That's right.
His little Woody doll.
He had a Woody doll, and he would hold it like he was the alien.
He would be there in his like
Woody was the Culkin kid.
Yeah, Woody was Rory Culkin, and he was in his underwear because that's all he wore around the house.
Right.
Just run around in his little
That's
underwear.
all he wears now.
Yeah. But so yeah, we talked about Signs. We were going to talk about Trap, but I'm the only one who watched it. So
I have also seen it. So
have you?
Yep.
Nice. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, it was. What did you think about it?
I didn't think it was as bad as everyone said.
I agree. Definitely not his best. Definitely not his worst.
I was.
Oh, by the way, Nicholas is my son, Tabor's brother.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he's going to school. He's calling us from Hawaii. He's in school in Hawaii right now.
Yeah. And where's he in the ranking?
Oh, well,
The
everybody
ranking can change.
yeah, everybody knows that Nicholas is my favorite,
Yeah.
but
But the ranking
the ranking
rankings
can change.
Anywho, yeah. If you guys talked for 2 hours about signs.
Well, we talked for 2 hours. I don't know if it was
Okay.
all necessarily about signs.
There was also some dead
Okay.
space. We were having technical difficulties, so
We fought with the cat. There was brownies that had to be taken out of the
We
oven.
just made brownies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Anywho, let's talk trap then. So
I have some notes, but you guys can talk.
But
sure.
you haven't seen it yet, so we don't want to spoil it for you.
You won't spoil it. I watched some clips and stuff, and I read things about it, and
Okay.
Dad will forget it and then remember it when he's watched it again.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy that if you say something about a movie,
That you
I don't
won't
get
watch it.
I don't get spoiler alerts.
Okay.
Yeah, that
You're
doesn't.
not that guy, pal.
All right. So, yeah, Trap.
So Trap.
It's about a guy who is a killer. I don't know. Would you call him a serial killer? Or is he a
Yes.
process killer?
So let me read the little thing real quick because I have that on here. So with high spirits, a man named Cooper, played by Josh Hartnett. Oh, I'm hitting the table again. And his daughter Riley, played by Ariel Donahue, attend a concert of a famous pop star, Lady Raven, who was played by Salika Shyamalan.
Yeah.
That is a good head start. The excitement slowly begins to change because the concert has a hidden agenda, a front to fish out an infamous serial killer known as the Butcher.
Yeah. The Butcher. I felt that wasn't the most creative name, but I mean, it gets the job done.
Yeah. He's technically butchering people, so
Yeah.
we'll let it slide.
They
this
should have
time.
just called him Josh. We're looking for Josh.
Yeah.
I will
Have
say
you guys seen the killer Billy?
I am a big fan of the Josh Hartnett renaissance. I'm glad that
Oh my gosh,
he's doing well for himself. I love that.
he is fantastic.
He did an episode of Black Mirror called Beyond the Sea.
Yes,
That is so good. You're gonna have to see that, Dad. You'll like it.
Yeah,
It's got
Black
Aaron.
Mirror's
It's got
got
Aaron
some
Paul
good
in it
stuff.
too.
Yeah,
From Breaking Bad.
I thought they both did a good job. But yeah, Josh Hartnett is. I've always been a fan of his. He's got some good movies, but I thought he was like the best part of Trap.
Yeah. I kind of felt that his acting was a little goofy at times, but I don't think that was an actor choice. I think that was a director choice.
I agree.
Yeah.
This is funny. If I Google Trap on Google, for some reason it's coming up as Armadillo Accessibilidad.
Yeah, mine did the same thing when I looked up some information about it.
That's so
It was like
funny.
another language.
So M. Night Shyamalan plays so his daughter's in the movie, but he plays her uncle.
Yeah, so I have down M. Night Shyamalan was the spotter. I didn't know what that meant, the spotter.
So the daughter is on the ground floor watching the concert, and he plays this lead singer's uncle, but he also goes through the audience and finds, that one lucky young woman who gets to go on stage and dance.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
And, we were talking about how we think he's a good actor. I think he did a good job in this one, too.
Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Shyamalan.
Yeah, he always
Well,
does.
I think he's just himself.
Yeah.
And I think he just brings like realism to every movie
Yeah.
that he acts in because he's just being himself.
Yeah, I think he's
And
a genuine guy, and
Yeah.
it shows on screen.
Doesn't feel like he's overacting or underacting in any way. He's just being him, and he just is the character, and he does a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a few trivia things about the movie. Shot on 35 millimeter film stock.
Yeah. We discussed that a little bit during the Signs episode. I thought it was shot on digital and made to look like film, but it was actually shot on film. It looked freaking great. It looked beautiful. I thought it was probably the best thing about that movie is how beautiful it looked.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, M. Night originally intended to frame the film in 4:3 aspect ratio. You know what that is?
Yeah.
4:3?
Mm-hmm. That's like an old TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he felt like it would limit the ability to shoot the movie, and it was too much work. So they changed it to 1.85 to 1.
Yeah. So widescreen.
Widescreen. Okay. Why didn't they just say widescreen then?
Because there's different widescreens.
Friggin' nerds.
Actually 1.85 to 1. The Lighthouse. Remember we were talking about Robert Eggers? The Lighthouse is shot in 4:3.
Okay.
So it's a weird aspect ratio, and it'll weird you out at first, but then you get used to it.
I think a lot of people, I think it got mixed reviews because a lot of people felt like it was just him pushing his daughter as a singer and songwriter and stuff. It was basically just
Ulterior
a
motives.
concert.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that was
'Cause-
intense, but I could see thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
'cause
like
a
a
lot-
nepotism move.
Yeah, because a lot of the movie, I don't remember exactly how long it is, like what, hour 40 minutes or
Hour and
something? It's
45.
Yeah, hour 45. So I was only 5 minutes off. Look at me go! But
Dad did something earlier today that was really bizarre, and I was like, "Hey, that's something Nicholas would do." He's like, "Where do you think he got it from?"
Exactly. But it felt like an hour of the movie was like the concert, and then 45 minutes was like, ooh, what the freak is going on?
Yeah, I felt like there was too much concert footage.
Yeah, I agree.
Trim that up a little bit, and I mean, I remember watching a review, and someone said if this was an hour-long Black Mirror episode, it would have knocked it out of the park.
Because Black Mirror is weird like that.
Yeah. But I thought Josh Hartnett did a good job. His wife is played by Alison Pill. I'm always happy to see her. I think she's great.
Yeah, she does some good stuff.
I thought the twist was going to be that she turned him in because she was a killer and she was jealous. But there was no twist. There's no twist in this movie, and that bummed me out.
No, the twist is that his wife is the one who turned him in, but that's not. It didn't feel like a Shyamalan twist. If I could have pulled that out my crack, like it did not feel like something Shyamalan came up with. It felt like he was lazy in that twist.
Like he's like, "Oh, I didn't come up with the twist. His wife did it." Okay.
His wife turned him in. Yeah. I
The
thought
twist there was no twist.
Honestly, I thought there was going to be a bigger twist, and I thought it was going to be like she knew he was a killer all along, and she's in on it too. And I thought they were going to end up like killing Shyamalan's daughter and get away with it or something.
Yeah.
But
So that's the thing about the M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Universe.
All of them.
The M. Night Shyamaverse.
Yeah, I like all of them. Everything that he's made, I think, for just in itself, I like the movies. They're entertaining. You know, whatever the twist is, that's cool. I like the stories. I like the human connections that he makes, stuff like that. But they're he is either, it's a phenomenal movie or it's kind of dragging in the dirt. There's no real in between. It's either one, it's the top of the line or, yeah, I put something together. Here you go.
Yeah.
But I like them.
Yeah, I like Trap. I think, trim the runtime, get rid of the concert footage, like not as much. Rain Josh Hartnett in a little bit, make him less of a cartoon.
Yeah, at the end when he takes his handcuffs off and he's like,
Yeah.
like what the freak?
I mean,
you know what this movie is? The premise is based off of, though, right?
no.
So there's this thing. It's like partly inspired by something that was called Operation Flagship, and it was a sting operation in which disguised law enforcement arrested wanted fugitives after inviting them under the false pretense of giving them free NFL tickets. And so Shyamalan took that.
Oh yeah,
then
that's a
when he
real
pitched-
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and when he pitched it to studios, he was like, "Here's the idea. It's based off this, but I wanted to feel like Silence of the Lambs at a Taylor Swift concert."
Nice.
And so that was kind of like
Cool.
where that came from.
Okay. Yeah, and we get mad at M. Night Shyamalan for doing this to prop up his daughter, but what father wouldn't?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'll give him a pass. I thought the movie was decent. It was a fun time.
The only
Um,
pass he's getting, though, is that one.
That's it. No more after this.
No more after this.
That sounds really ominous.
So we we're down to less than 3 minutes on our video card. We should have dumped that card and
Nah, it's fine. I don't got much to say. I'm gonna go eat dinner.
all right.
All right, give us some more click. What?
I got brownies waiting for me.
Do your
Was that Robert F. Kennedy?
No.
Just
I don't
like,
know what you're talking
the worm in my brain's got me baking brownies, and I'm gonna go get those brownies now. I'm gonna go see if the worm in my brain wants any brownies.
Classic.
All right, give us some more alien clicking noises, and you can go home.
Did you know? I don't know if Alec talked about this. Signs is one of the only movies that has never made Alec cry.
Yeah, he did.
yeah, he
Yeah,
did
mentioned
mention that.
That and Iron Claw.
He, he cried for Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he bawled. That's the most I've ever seen him
Man, I
cry.
can't-
But that's for another episode.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but I'm sure I was there and at the time. So
We all watched it together. The
Yeah,
only one that
yeah.
wasn't there was Briar.
All right.
Anywho,
Thanks, Nicholas.
thanks for listening to My Dad's Movie Podcast. We had a lot of fun creating it, and we hope you enjoyed it.
For more content, please check us out at Facebook and YouTube at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
And always, if you'd like to help support us, please check out our Patreon at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
thank you, Bob and Tom, for letting me call in. Orange barrels. All right.
I'm out.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And we're gone again.
That kid's unhinged.
You just wait till we get to Nolan's episode. I ain't holding back.
All right.
It's going to be
All right,
crazy.
bye-bye.
Bye, bud.